Madam Chair. Mr. Ambassador, I want to focus a little bit of attention on the rise of anti-Semitism in Europe and the fact that it seems to be enshrined in the UN Human Rights Council by their votes and actions. And I'm wondering if you could advise us as well, Mrs. Schnetzer, on what you think the United States should do to leverage our position to curb that, financially, if you think that that is something, or otherwise. Because what I see, it's almost unbelievable that we just stand for it and allow it to continue.
Look, I have very open eyes about the UN's problems, which is the main place where people attack Israel and sometimes express anti-Semitism.
Sometimes? Sometimes they don't.
It is regularly a place where Israel is focused on more than any other nation for criticism. However, it is my view, as someone who's involved in the negotiation of creating the UN Human Rights Council, that for all of its faults, it is better for the United States to be in the room and to create an atmosphere in which there's more balance rather than less balance.
Okay, so we're in the room, but how are we stopping it?
The United States is the only nation that not only can assert its vote, but actually form coalitions and browbeat other nations into moving in the right direction. It is a worse situation for Israel at any UN body if the United States is not there.
All right, if I could, Mrs. Schnetzer, any thoughts quickly?
Yes, sir. So I think it's important to note that in the Middle East today, there are two democratic countries, Tunisia and Israel. I think it's important to continue to find ways to stand by those countries that are our democratic allies and
Agreed.
supporters, and those that are moving in the right direction but still have a long way to go. I do think that it's important for the United States and for government and for Congress to find those opportunities for leverage and influence. I'm disturbed about the trends that we see in Europe today. I'm disturbed about some of the rhetoric in our own country today, and to find the opportunities for leverage and influence are important.
Let me just tell you, from this policymaker standpoint, it doesn't seem like we have a plan or a vision to tangibly do that. It's a goal, but we're looking for some opportunity that shows up at some point, and then we'll take advantage of the opportunity. That's hoping on chance and luck, and I would like to see us do a better job. I've got a limited amount of time, so I appreciate that. Mr. Bromley, listening to your statements, I'm wondering about your organization's position on Sharia and its treatment of the LGBT community in the countries where Sharia is strictly enforced, if there is such a community in those community. I've heard of a lot of funding, advocacy for a lot of funding, but other than reports, not a whole lot of deliverables. And I'm just wondering about your, we can get into that, but what's your organization's public position and statements on that issue of Sharia, not only the treatment of women, but the LGBT community in particular?
Certainly. Thank you for the question. No, the most radical interpretation of Sharia does include the death penalty for LGBT individuals, and that obviously is a grave human rights violation.
I know that. I want to know what your position is. What are your public and I don't mean to be short, but I got a limited amount of time, so I'm trying to get the information.
I mean, we have condemned the death penalty that was
Have you
recently adopted in Brunei as part of a Sharia reform in Brunei, and we've been quite critical of that, and believe actually that raises serious questions about whether Brunei should be in.
So you only condemn the death penalty portion of Sharia, or you condemn the actions of Sharia as they go?
No, and absolutely other actions of Sharia, including lesser penalties that are still corporal penalties, or any penalty for consensual same-sex relationships is a violation of fundamental human rights and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
And
so
what about those practitioners that would wish to enact and practice Sharia in America with the same prohibitions for women and for the LGBT community? What is your organization's public position?
Well, with respect to the LGBT community, any strict enforcement of Sharia would be a violation of the U.S. Constitution, and we obviously.
And you've made those statements in that regard.
I'd be happy to. I'm making them now.
Okay.
I think
that's important because
we have.
It's important to make
absolutely.
sure people are aware, if you're going to have this message, to have it out there, not just have it reactively when asked, but have it proactively as an advocate for human rights for every single person on every single continent, including this one.
No, absolutely. There are mixed systems that don't interpret Sharia that way, but a strict interpretation of Sharia would be a violation of the Constitution in the U.S. and certainly a violation of UN human rights norms.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I yield.